owners and organizers for making this event happen. And extremely thankful for Al-Mahdi Center for allowing us to hold this event at the very place that Asad Bhai had held dearest in his heart.
There is much to be said about who Sayyid Asad Jafri was and what he had accomplished. But if we are to sum it up, or sum up the aims of his efforts in one word, it would be us, the youth. The reason why we are able to execute English-oriented events, whether it be English lectures, English poetry events, campfires, discussions, and youth camps, are all due to the seeds individuals like Asad Bhai had planted throughout his life. It is due to his efforts that we are able to have these privileges today. And inshallah, we will see the manifestation of his efforts in today's poetry night, which is by the youth and for the youth in memory of Sayyid Asad Jafri. Bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat.
We'd like to start the program today with a recitation of the Holy Quran. I'd like to invite Brother Sahil Jafar to recite Quran for us. Bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat. Lucky.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
Ahsant, and thank you, Brother Sahil Jafar, for the beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. We'd like to start the program with the very first poet that we have, Brother Qais Leela, an emerging talent of the community. I'd like to invite Brother Qais Leela to recite his poetry. Please welcome him with a loud salawat.
Correct. Salawat. Can you turn it down a bit? Thank you. Before I start my poem, I would like to give a little bit of context to what I'm going to say. The name of the poem is called The Forgotten Meaning. Essentially, it is the understanding and consciousness that one has within themselves and that reconnection they need to rekindle. Because one who understands himself understands his Lord. Salawat. Lakum dinukum waliyad-din. To you, your religion. To me, my religion. It's so simple, but we're blind. I'll judge you for yours and I'll judge you for mine. I memorized the words, but the meaning has died. I memorized the words, but the meaning has died. Let's open our chest and see what's inside. Forgotten this attest, and I'm full of pride. The darkness invests in my deep demise. The spots on my heart are scaring my mind. If I look within, tell me what will I find? If I look within, tell me what will I find? Ignored reflections, robotic intentions, forgotten questions, blind corrections. I am heedless and loud, arrogant and proud. To my deeds I am bound, and the actions I allowed. What goes around comes around. Isn't that the saying? But what about after my time? What of the scent I leave behind? Will I be that of a perfumer whose fragrance is pleasant? Do we not think about the impact our energy touches? Like how a smile can bring joy, the gift of patience we deploy, the love in which we enjoin together, we cannot be destroyed. We must put aside our differences to grow, start in the homes with each other. Paradise lies beneath the feet of your mother. Speak kind words to your brother. Please listen. Grudges aren't meant to be held, they are meant to let go. Everything you listen to has an effect on your soul, including yourself. Be conscious of the poison that comes out of your mouth 24 hours in a day, and you spend them all with yourself. When you realize everything is connected and the true power of insan can be manifested. We must put aside our insecure reactions. The judgment we spew is the opposite of attraction. The Prophet was kind and he always showed compassion. We have to reconnect back with ourselves. There is a spirit of God within our realm. Listen to the energy around you. Feel the power within you. Hold yourself and forgive you. Heal and move forward. For Allah's mercy is always with you on your continuous journey. Salawat.
Allahu Akbar.
Ya Rasulullah.
Ya Ali, Ya Ali. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Everything you listen to has an effect on your soul, including yourself. Subhanallah, Brother Qais. Brother Qais being emerging young talent from the West End. Can we please recite another loud salawat for Brother Qais? I would now like to invite another individual who is another emerging talent from our community, and especially the community of the poets of the household. I would like to invite Brother Turab Haidar to recite his poetry. Recite another loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ijazat. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. The poetry, I'm firstly thankful for the honor to be reciting here today. This poem that I've written, it doesn't really have a title because it's about spirituality, and it's for each one of us as individuals to find our connection to spirituality. Just a quick preamble for this is that for what ignites my spirituality is the connection to the Creator, the connection to Ahlul Bayt, the connection to Bab al-Hawaij and Parcham-e Hazrat Abbas. I'll start with a loud salawat. My eyes spoke when my tongue stuttered. Seeing you flutter, outstretched to the skies, guiding Musa's passage as the divine coat of arms. Aren't you the staff of Moses that split the seas, or the valve in my heart so it continues to beat? Millions stand, cupping their palms, blessed his arms. Vows in our prayers, Eunice drew the tapestry, the threads weaving a myriad of prayers. The fabric of spirit, the submission of love. In the waves of turbulence, my hopes anchored, a lighthouse for lost souls. So I clasp your standard, my back numbed and feet sore. I'm a traveler waiting on the cleats of Ark of Salvation, wondering if Noah found this anchor as he stationed. So I stood in silence and no words uttered, but you listened. The flag of valor bestowed to the champion of Khyber, you're the symbol of righteousness wavered by the faithful. You're the resistance enshrined in truth's oppression. Today you veil the heavens and submerge his occultation in anticipation, one day of his return. Return then, needless to utter, I know you will listen. Hadiya salawat.
Asad, Brother Turab. Brother Turab wrote, "A lighthouse for lost souls." What a beautiful metaphor. Our next poet is Sister Fasiha from the Al-Mehdi Center as well. I'd like to invite Sister Fasiha to come and recite some poetry, please. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
This poem is dedicated to Asad, who is a huge reason why I continue to write poetry. So let's start. To Asad, who taught us the value of life, who taught us what it means to not limit ourselves to a seed, but to become a tree, rooted and strong within its foundation, supported by the soil of knowledge and the water of action. Guided by the light of Allah and the Ahlul Bayt, you planted trees within each of us. You taught us what it means to value our faith, to value ourselves as we were crafted from the same breath as the divine. You are the perfect example of the verse, and we built you in tribes and nations so that you may know one another. And somehow you understood the anatomy of every heart. You continued the legacy of your father and revealed from the start, the more anonymous you are in the eyes of people, the more known you become in the eyes of God. Your level of sincerity was in tune with a divine touch. You took every opportunity to serve the cause until the cause became a manifestation of the potential you see in each of us. Whether you fathered the children and the youth, or you were a son for the childless troops, you revived God within society. Some hanging by a thread, others scattered like broken beads of a rosary. Imam Jafri Sadiq alayhi salam said, "The heart is the sanctuary of Allah." You emptied our hearts from that which occupied us from other than Him. You showed us the ability to move mountains within us. You taught us to awaken our conscience, clear our thoughts from none other but Him. And so we found solace in your words. Your reminders connected us to the remedy that exists within us. Words fail to help me describe the light you turned on in every dark and empty heart. So we vow to pass your torch from generation to generation until we reach our ultimate destination. Salawat.
You emptied our hearts from that which occupies us from other than Him. MashaAllah, Jazakallah, Sister Fasiha. May Allah continue to bless you and your pen. The next poet I have is someone very special to me personally, someone who is one of the great minds behind the group of poetry of poets of the household, and also one of the main organizers of this event, someone who I consider my teacher in poetry. Can I please invite Brother Naqi Rizvi to the podium, recite another loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Yeah, Brother Mohsin likes to be funny. This poem that I'm going to be reciting, it was inspired by Maulana Sayyid Asad Jafri. I remember maybe 15, 16 years ago, we had a circle of discussion that Maulana Asad Jafri spoke about the significance of Azadari in our lives and in lives today, and what he termed organized grief, which is the title of this poem. This poem is a part of a series of poems that I wrote titled Memoirs of Matam. This one is called Organized Grief. At 16, I found my glow amongst a luminous constellation, an anjuman. The melody of our voices, one. The thunder of our chests, one. The dance of our arms, one. Hussein's grief unified our very beings. The stars of the night sky burst into celestial tears of awe, watching us glimmer in grief. Synchronized waves rise with a roar and crash like lightning around the flag of the moon of Bani Hashim. We were the mighty ocean storm. We made the earth quake. We made the winds rumble to the beat of our hearts. In that moment, we were the aching heart of Fatima, beating to its sorrowful melody. I saw how beautiful grief can be. I have another poem as well. I know Asad Bhai always would like to end by remembering the suffering and oppression of the people of Palestine, so this is a poem about that. This poem is called Lost Pearls. Do you see fathers or fishermen sifting through cemented seas of suffering, struggling to search for strewn seashells to split open in hopes they'll find their missing pearls, while the silence of separation screams inside their souls and their searching never stops? Salawat ala Muhammad.
Asad. Jazakallah, Naki Bhai, for those amazing pieces of poetry. I was trying to single it down to one line, but it was packed with too much. Next, we will have the recitation of a qasida, and for that I would like to invite Brother Mujtaba Rizvi to the podium. Please recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First of all, I just wanted to thank the poets of the household for inviting me to tonight's program. I'll be reciting a kalam in Urdu in honor of Imam Ali alayhi salam. I've only had a few opportunities where I've had the honor of Asad Bhai sitting in front of me while I recite. One of those times being last year's poetry event that happened. So I just wanted to read the same kalam that I read then now. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. بیان کرنے کو یوں تو دنیا شرف بیان کرتی ہے سبھی کے، مگر جو عقل سلیم رکھتا ہے جانتا ہے سوا نبی کے، نہیں ہے کوئی علی سے بہتر، کوئی نہیں ہے کوئی نہیں سوا نبی کے، علی سے بہتر کوئی نہیں ہے کوئی نہیں۔ اور حنین و بدر و احد سے پوچھو، عمر کے دو نیم سر سے پوچھو، علی کی دو انگلیوں کی طاقت ہے کیا یہ خیبر کے در سے پوچھو، قسم خدا کی مثال حیدر کوئی نہیں ہے کوئی نہیں۔ اور غدیر سے جب کہ میں نے پوچھا، ہے تجھ کو معلوم سارا قصہ، سوا علی کے ہے اور کوئی بنایا جس کو نبی نے مولا، تڑپ کے بولا یہ خم کا منبر کوئی نہیں ہے کوئی نہیں۔ اور چلیں جو بنتے اسد تو بڑھ کر، جدار کعبہ یہ بولی ہنس کر، اسی طرح اور اسی جگہ پر کھڑی تھی ایک دن ایک اور مادر، مگر تمہارے شرف سے بڑھ کر کوئی نہیں ہے کوئی نہیں۔ और लगाए वो नारे सलूनी, मदीना इल्म का जो दर हो, नबी के फरमान के मुताबिक जिधर को मुड़ जाए हक उधर हो, सिवाए है दर के ऐसा रहबर कोई नहीं है, कोई नहीं। और अली की तलवार चल रही है, नबी का चेहरा धमक रहा है, कोई डटा है ओहद में, कोई नजर बचा कर सरक रहा है, नबी के पास सब सिवाय हैदर कोई नहीं है, कोई नहीं। सिवा नबी के अली से बेहतर कोई नहीं है, कोई नहीं। नारे सलवात।
Jazakallah, Brother Mushtaba, with that beautiful recitation. You truly have lit up this mahfil with such a powerful voice and recitation. Can we please have another salawat for Brother Mushtaba ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad? I hope everyone has been enjoying their experience and learning from all the poets that have been presenting so far. We will now be moving on to our second segment of the recitation of poetry. And to start off that second segment, I would like to invite Sister Alize Jafri to present her poetry. Sister Alize Jafri, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now it's on. In his fifth lecture of the most recent Ashra, Maulana Asad Jafri made this beautiful point about how we are all Khalil water and we need to connect to core water and find our source. And after that, I had shared this poem with him that I'd written a while back called Raindrop to Ocean, which is about the visitation of Imam Hussain alayhi salam in Karbala. And it was a poem that he enjoyed reading, and he gave me some du'as, which I'm sure, they go such a long way. His du'as always went a long way. And now that he completed the ultimate ziyarat and met his Maula, I thought I'd share that as the first one. I swear by your love that gravity holds my feet to this earth, but my spirit soars, constantly seeking yours. Do you remember the moment I stood at your doorstep with my head bowed, unaware of the crowd? I was still, my voice was still, and my heart was still, my eyes still, unable to fill, so instead, it was my soul that spilled. It was my soul that spilled like a cascade of wildflowers gathered for you over the years. I tried to carry it all, to gather the world's beauty and bring it to your door, but when I reached you, you were so much more than I could have thought. And then the words caught in my throat, and I forgot every poem I ever wrote. Raindrop to ocean, all that I am belongs to you. And the second one, because he always spoke for Palestine, it was so close to his heart, and one of the topics for tonight was the unending mercy of Allah. So this is about Gaza and our role in Allah's mercy. Let this pen be a scribe in the river of tears ink. Every time I close my eyes, I can't help but think of broken dolls and broken houses, buildings that sink to the ground, screams echoing a hollow sound, endless searching for the beloved, never to be found. They look around, and in the carnage there is little comfort, little hope, Ashes rise from every dream that broke, wedding flowers scattered upon the streets, tiny shoes fallen off tiny feet, and a terrible silence left to greet the living, for only the martyrs sleep. Martyrs sleep restfully with smiling faces, beautiful memories linger in broken places, and now humanity faces the ultimate question. When history mentions these terrible days, will it say that we stood with the oppressors or the oppressed? By Allah, we must do our best and leave the rest to His unending mercy. We must pray, but make each prayer worthy. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Jazakallah, Sister Alize. That was a beautiful poem. Sister Alize said, "When I reached you, you were so much more than I thought." What a beautiful thought. Our next poet that I'd like to invite is one of the senior poets in our Toronto community, Brother Ammar Yasser Maladina. Please recite loud salawat for Brother Ammar Yasser.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Before I begin the poem that I prepared for today, I'm hoping it's okay that I just share one of the memories I have of Maulana Asad Jafri. As a poet, I think sometimes his lectures had such beautiful imagery in them, and one of the metaphors that I loved from one of his lectures from, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago that's always stuck with me is he talked about when you approach sin, you're going into a boxing ring with shaitan. And you know, sometimes you're going to win that fight and you're going to win those rounds, right? And then sometimes shaitan is going to knock you out. But are you going to get back up? And that's always stood by me, you know, when you're going through those lows, you think about like, are you going to get back up? And that's what Allah wants to see you do. And that's one of the memories that I have and one of the lessons that I take with me from Maulana Asad Jafri. I don't have a name for this poem, so I'm just going to launch right in. I sit upon a tree, these branches, my decisions. Some flourishing with tiny buds, others truncated with incisions. I've kept trying to prune its leaves with precision, to make it perfect, like trees I see with beauty and fertility. But here, I rest upon my imperfect tree, disheveled and disgraced, alone without an orchard, solitary and displaced. I reach out like its branches, seeking sustenance from the sun, but I can't bring myself to reckon with all the things I've done. I took this tree as my responsibility, as if it only relied on me for its nourishment and salvation. And in my pride, I thought that planting seeds was the same as creation. These hands which dug and cultivated, which poured and left the earth saturated, they are fallible and finite, but couldn't force the sun up quicker at twilight, nor could they bring an end to winter's cold nights, and I despaired of the promise of spring, though it comes every year. Instead, I shivered in the cold and embraced every fear. But then he called to me and reminded me he was near, not relieving me of winter, simply a reminder to let go. And when I felt his love, I was grateful for the snow, as it seeped to the roots of my tree and caused it to grow. For in every adversity comes the opportunity to know the originator and fashioner who sustains every tree, the patient, the kind, who keeps waiting for me.
Assad. MashaAllah, I despaired the promise of spring, though it comes every year. Subhanallah, Jazakallah, Brother Ammar, for that beautiful recitation of your poetry. Now I would also like to invite one of the other senior poets of our community, Brother Ali Razvi, for the recitation of his poetry. Can we welcome him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad?
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I was told that the Sayyid himself had a special connection with the Imam of our time, hence naturally I thought it would be wise to, share a poem on Imam Zaman himself. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah who said, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Those who believe in the unseen, the unseen, the unseen will now see a birth unlike any other, where a mother answers the door, Hakima walks in, Narjis reaches the floor. How are you, mistress? Let me take your shoes. She says, stop, what are you doing? You are my mistress. The son of Hussein will be born tonight. And then the night passed. It was time for the source of guidance to arrive, and we felt drowsy, closed our eyes, and there he was. In prostration, bowing before his Lord, we saw white birds from above come down, rub their wings, go up, rub their wings, go up, and so on. A bright light emanating from his skin reached the horizon, reached to the skies, and wait till the master opens his eyes and he's told, speak, O my son, let the truth unfold. A bold voice testifies to Tawheed and Wilayah. Ja al-Haq wa Zahaq al-Batil. Inna al-Batila kana dhahuqa. He names the Imams until he stops at his own name. He stops speaking. Take him, his father says to the pigeon. I'm giving him to the one to whom Moses was given. Narjis starts weeping. Who was the pigeon? Where has he gone? It was Ruh al-Qudus, known as the protector of the Imams. As time went on, the Imam grew older. Picture Hassan al-Allam al-Askari as the poison takes over. Bring my child, the servant enters the house. He says, it's as if I saw a full moon walking in front of me. Imam starts crying as he proceeds. Immediately he says, you are the hidden one. You are the guided one. You are the promised one. One by one, gave him Allah's names, gave him the Zulfiqar. The prayers were arranged. Disputes were raised. He should lead. No, he should lead. The voices claimed. Jafar al-Kadhab stands for prayer. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. The Hujjah of Allah walks in. Tanah ya am, says, move, oh uncle. You know, I am more worthy of this than you are. Jafar runs out screaming. And I keep dreaming of my captains. Malik, Salman, Habib ibn Mazahir, Abul Fad. Yes, the 313 gather around him like a swarm of bees. Yasubuddin, they call him. Like lions, they step out of the shadows of trees. Iman, firm as steel, crushing mountains to ground. Young men who will walk on the water, ride on the clouds, each with the strength of 40 men. When the night falls, they're found missing and not in beds, and Shaitan dreads their path in the morning. Mounted on their horse, ready to serve the man they were calling. And falling through time, let's move to the day of Ashura. It's Friday, we see a man with his back to the Kaaba. Earthquakes, seditions, calamities, separations, terrors, plagues, madness, despair. People want to eat each other. Limb to limb, they tear each other apart. The name of Allah can't be said out loud. Day and night they'll say, I'd rather die than see what's going on with my eyes. Then he reappears, 313 by his side. Angels from Badr that are 5,000 announcing, Whoever wants to see Adam and Sheeth, I am Adam and Sheeth. I am Noah and his kin, Ibrahim, Ismail, I am Musa, I am Yusha, I am Shamun, I am Isa, I am Muhammad and Ali, I am Hassan, I am Hussein, I am Zainul Abidin, I am Baqir and As-Sadiq, I am Musa known as Qadim, I am Rida and Jawad, I am Ali Naqi Hadi, I am my father who's not me, Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, Aba Saleh, Madadi, his big black eyes, face luminous like the moon, lips were like pearls, his right cheek had a mole, eyebrows joint, nose raised, hair flowing, lit face, wearing a shirt with the bloodstains of the Prophet's teeth, the heavenly garment of Ibrahim, the ring of Solomon, the staff of Moses. He approaches the peacock of paradise with angels on both sides. Tawusi Ahlil Jannah, they call them. Mikael to his left, Jibrail to his right, and what a sight! What a sight you were blessed with, Ali ibn Mahziar, with his index finger in the sand. He looks up and he says, Ya Abul Hassan, Ya Ali ibn Mahziar, inna kunna nantadhirka sabahan wa masaha. I have been waiting for you day and night. Where have you been? 11 years, where have you been? He said, I had no access to you, Yabna Rasulullah. No one was there to guide me to you. No one was there to guide you. No, that's not it. You were occupied with money and wealth and living your life. That's what blocked your access to us. The Imam says to Shaykh al-Mufid in his letter, Inna lasna nasina rizikrikum wala muhmilina mara'atikum. Don't think that we've abandoned you. Don't think that we've forgotten about you. Ya Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, I have forgotten you. I am to blame. Forgive me, my master. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
MashaAllah, brother Ali, that was such an inspiring piece for Imam Zamana. Next, I'd like to invite another emerging talent of our community, Brother Turab Rizvi, to please recite some poetry. Recite aloud salawat for Brother Turab Rizvi.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I have two pieces that I want to recite. The first piece, to give you some context about it, it has to do with trust in Allah and His nurturing abilities and how He helps us grow in spiritual ways, emotional ways, mentally, in every way possible. The second poem I'm going to read will have to do with Asad Bhai himself, and I'll get into that after this first poem. So this poem, it's called The Seed. Does the seed stress over its fate as it splits the soil and spreads with faith? The deeper its roots, the taller it grows, rooted in resilience, its faults never exposed. Trusting the clouds will bring it rain, trusting the breeze will soothe its pain, knowing the sun will bring it warmth, firm through the trials that will come forth. Even as the seasons change and petals start to wither away, the flower that grew can safely assume the sun will return and allow it to bloom. And if you find your stem stuck, remember your roots when Haidar's hand was raised to heaven's roof, cultivating these clouds that shower these blessings upon this seed of love, this seed of Ali. Allah can be found on Ali's ark, where Ahmad is the captain of this seed's heart. No matter the journey on which it embarks, it knows its home. Through those moonless nights of daunting dark, its faith has grown, trusting in who it will return to. The lover of its leaves, the creator of its seed, was once a sapling and sprouted to more, as it yearns for who it trusts and reaches for its Lord. So that is the first piece. The second piece, if you... So that was the first piece called The Seed. The second piece, I've recited this before. This is strictly for Asad Bhai, and I try to go off of the same theme of a flower and the nurturing and growing abilities. One thing about Asad Bhai is that he helped us as a community grow, and he really nurtured us. And I want to reflect that through this piece, with your permission. Every flower will wither one day, yet the scent of its petals will always remain. As I gaze upon the garden of guidance, a familiar fragrance floats my way, the sweet scent of sincerity flourishing on display. What sprouted as one has spread to more through every soul that smelt its scent, its seeds of knowledge scattered, rooted firmly with intent. Reminiscent of its serenity, spring returns the memory of a rose that bloomed and left no thorns, only the fragrance that it adorned. Salawat.
Very beautiful poem, Brother Turab. Appreciate that piece. Next, I'd like to call my own Ustad, Brother Mohsin Jafri, to recite some poetry for us as well. Please recite loud salawat for Brother Mohsin.
One of the themes of this event was the mercy of Allah, and so this poem is finding the mercy of Allah through the love of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I was blessed with your love through the tears of my mother, through the prayers that were whispered in my ears by my father. A love that was found in the darkest of nights, a love ignited without fire but gave light. I came to your door and you left it open. You listened to my words, though none were spoken. You told me to speak, but with the sound of my heart. But it takes just 7 letters to again break apart. 7 letters on my lips, 1 word on my mind. You remind me how relative is space and time. For if you left me, then tell me how strange is this life, as year over year you continue to stay alive. I crawled to your mercy and you let me in. You shortened my pathway on the road to sin. I called thee master, but you called me friend. I took your name once, but not once and for all. Upon that you called me again and again. What is this puzzle I can't comprehend? Beyond comprehension is where you begin. Take me as I cry, let me cry at your feet. Let me feel what you felt, let me burn by the heat. Let me lay upon your chest as I mourn, as I weep. Let me beat upon the beat from my heart in my chest. Let me lose my control, let my wounds get deep. Let my vision deplete. If it is not you that I see, let me see your sea of mercy. Let me lose all my sleep, let my thirst not quench until it's you that I see. Is it Yusuf I see, or the beauty of thee? I am lost at my words, I am lost in the deep. You saved me from drowning, you are Musa at sea. If Suleiman was a king and was made majesty, then you are king of all kings with a timeless legacy. I crawl to your kingdom with a heart full of pain, but you heal all this pain and purify me as I leave. You soften my heart and eradicate my greed. You erase all my guilt as I proceed to beseech. I'm enslaved to this world, but at your door I am free. I discover what is real and drift away from all deceit. This empty life shows me purpose and why your love becomes a need. As I drink from the chalice that your lovers left for me, I begin to sway and chant 7 letters as I breathe. You are light upon light. You are love upon love. You're the scripture on the spear. You are heaven and above. Ya Hussein, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. With that, I would like to call for the recitation of a qasida, a reciter that inspires many of us, especially me since I was a child across North America, Alamdar Bhai, to the podium for the recitation of a qasida. Please welcome him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Brother Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, salawat.
اس منقبت کے چند اشعار حضرت عباس کی شان میں مل کے بلند آواز میں ایک صلوات پڑھیے محمد وعلی محمد. اتنی بھر جائے ان آنکھوں میں ضیائے عباس، اتنی بھر جائے ان آنکھوں میں ضیائے عباس، مجھ کو کوئی نہ نظر آئے سوائے عباس. یا علی میرے الفاظ میں کیوں ہونا روانی کا کمال، میرے الفاظ میں کیوں ہونا روانی کا کمال، میں نے دریاؤں سے سیکھی ہے ثنائے عباس. یا علی علی کربلا ایک ہی مصرے میں سنا سکتا ہوں، کربلا ایک ہی مصرے میں سنا سکتا ہوں، عزم زینب دل شبیر وفائے عباس. میرے اشعار بھلا خلد میں مقبول نہ ہوں، میرے اشعار بھلا خلد میں مقبول نہ ہوں، اتنی کمزور نہیں ہوتی ثنائے عباس. اور میں نے اس حسن شباہت پہ بہت غور کیا، میں نے اس حسن شباہت پہ بہت غور کیا، سوچتا ہوں کہ علی لکھ دوں بجائے عباس. یوں کرو نام سکینہ ذرا لے کر دیکھو، یوں کرو نام سکینہ ذرا لے کر دیکھو، غیر ممکن ہے بلانے پہ दाए अब्बास इतनी भर जाए इन आँखों में ज़ियाए अब्बास बर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सलावत.
Jazakallah alhamdulillah for that beautiful recitation. We're entering into the last part of our program for tonight, and truly the zenith of our program. We have 2 more poets left, and then a short lecture by Sheikh Vinay. I'd like to invite a brother, a close friend, one of the founding members of the Poets of the Household, a true teacher and anchor for the poets in the Greater Toronto area, for sure. Brother Abbas Bhai to come and recite poetry of his own, and I think he has something special that he wants to share as well, a poem that Sayyid Assad had written himself. Please welcome Abbas Bhai with a loud salawat.
Bari diga nare salawat. Before I begin, just as an obligation, I just want to thank you all on behalf of myself and my family for being here today. Truly means a lot that all of you took time out, as Mohsen said in the beginning. I know it's holiday season, and it's today's December 31st, so you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to spend your time here today as part of the tribute program for my brother. So I just want to thank you all, the Mahdi Youth Society, of course, my brothers from the Poets of the Household group, for arranging this event. My brother was always someone who encourage this group. I would talk to him regularly about this group, tell him what we're doing, and he was always encouraging us. And as you know, he was a guest in our podcast, which we recently released. And although that was very difficult, but the messages and the words that he had are more important than any personal feelings. So that's why we did release that episode. And also, I just want to say thank you to Maulana Sheikh Vinay, Sheikh Abu Sumayya, for being with us here this evening, and Bil Khusus, our guest of honor, whom I've had the honor of talking to online and virtually, but during these past few days, I've had the honor and the privilege to sit with him and meet with him for the first time, and I can truly call him a brother, and that's Brother Zain Awan, my younger brother, who has joined us all the way from the United Kingdom as part of this program today. So really, people say that they don't have words for us. We don't have words for you, as I keep mentioning, as a thank you to all of you for being with us here today. So I won't take a lot of your time. I do have 2 pieces. I have one of my own that I've written, and as Naqi mentioned, my second piece will be the piece that my brother had written himself. A lot of you have seen the poem on social media. It's the same poem that I decided I would share with you today, as that coincides with one of the themes, which is the mercy of God today. So, and the piece that I wrote myself, it's just a tribute piece, just feelings of my heart. The poetry you've already heard tonight was before me, and you're going to hear poetry after me. Today, these are just feelings from my heart. So please bear with me while I recite this. Please recite aloud, salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Heavier than your coffin is the pen that I lifted to lighten this heavy heart packed with words, ensuring that they are placed correctly, for you were the servant of He who is the peak of eloquence and the emblem of justice. You had a way with words, which would pull at the heartstrings and tie them to yours and create an unbreakable bond. For when the world would grab us in its evil grip, make us feel lost, sometimes hysterical, we would turn to you, as your words had the combination to open the locks and make miracles. You made impossible concepts feel normal. like feeling opposites as the same. For two things can be true at the same time, as you said. You mentioned you can be uneasy and grateful at the same time. You can have anxiety and faith at the same time. You can be doubtful and God-centric at the same time. You can be okay with not being okay at the same time. Now, as your brother, allow me to add a few more lines. Even in your life and death, you made opposites attract. How? You stood taller when you bowed your head. You were a lion with a roar that was sweet. With just a whisper, a mountain of sincerity would crumble at your feet. Your booming voice attracted, not repelled. You gave life to the deen until your last breath. Your ominous presence filled hearts with love. You awoke in so many lives through your death. Yes, you did make opposites attract, because I am alive without a soul, for you took mine with you. As I feel heavy and empty at the same time, I grew 10 years in the one day I lost you. When I see you smiling in a picture, why does my heart break? Because I'm still feeling the aftershock of this internal earthquake. I wanted reality to be a nightmare. Wake up from this feeling. And if I had known the last time that I spoke to you was the last time, I would still be speaking. And when you would walk into the masjid with your abba, the environment went to 100 from 0. Even though people saw you as an alim, I saw my superhero. I would be lost and bewildered, and your abba sheltered me from this world's grief. With you gone now, who will protect me from this feeling of disbelief? But our connection was strong because of one man. When Dad died to eradicate our pain, we would only look in one direction, and that was the direction of Hussein. Our love for Azza is what brought us together, but that love you took to an immeasurable size. Eyesight was blurry, but we all saw clearly when you put the tears of Hussein in our eyes. Karbala is the only way we know how to get through this. Karbala is our blessing, so when I ask God, I put that wound on top of my wound to get solace. I ask God for patience through Sayyid Sajjad. So you were not just a brother, but a best friend. You were successful in your mission and made deen a fact. You were not just a brother, but a best friend. You were successful in your mission and made the deen a fact. Acceptance of you being gone won't ever be there. But know that I love you, and there's no opposite of that. But know that I love you, and there's no opposite of that. Ba Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Secondly, as Brother Naqi mentioned, I do have the poem that my brother wrote, and this is an honor of me to recite for you in front of you today, and it is truly kind of a synopsis of his entire life, which when he talked about was the mercy of God and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is perfect to recite in this event here today. So please recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. It never ceases to amaze me or faze me how you blaze the trails for me of my own deceit, forever committed to those who have been acquitted of their sins by you. One embrace from your mercy and we forget the taste of disgrace left upon our face. For we are responsible of our own oppression, leading us to confession, while all the while we hope, try to cope, while grasping the scope of our actions. How can I forget you and let you be a second thought? If only I fought the urge to merge with Shaitan the accursed. You are Allah. No words can describe or prescribe the essence that is you. You create with no prior, elevate clay over fire, separate the truth from the liar. Free the moment from the dire state that he is in. I became heedless of you, convincing myself that I'm needless of you. My arrogance controlled me while my desires patrolled me. And in this fight, I was right to take flight to your might and realize that without you, I am but a kite without strings, a bird without wings. So I cling to the one thing that I bring to my mind, and that is you, the greatest forgiver of all time. I continue to be enslaved by my desire, building my place in the hellfire, while all the while I beg for your forgiveness. This game has no end. To believe and then deceive, deceive and then believe is nothing but a game I play every day with you. And I fear one day you'll say that you no longer belong to me, while all the while I long for thee. Confessing my inability to fight my demons that are screaming to ignore you, while all the while I adore you. So I turn to you, Allah, looking to fix this flaw of my iman on a seesaw. Up and down it goes, calling on you only when those elements of this dunya look to destroy me. When my life is free of despair, I resume my satanic affair, almost as if I've placed a sign on thee that reads, only use when necessary. By Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, salawat.
Asad it was truly a very emotional poem. The last poet that we have is our special guest who is joining us all the way from the UK. Zain Hyderwan is a multi-award-winning creative and advocate. He studies at SOS, graduating in Development Studies and Middle Eastern Studies. He recommends his passion for academia with an MPhil at the University of Cambridge, where he is a Rondare scholar, researching Shia visibility in the public sphere in Pakistan and Azadari networks in Punjab. By profession, Zain Haider is currently a CMO and advisor in the Web3 space, working with a pioneering tech solution. His creative practice started from a young age. Since then, he has produced, written, and directed for screen, theater, and page. His work as a poet and writer has been showcased across different parts of the world, including the show The Spaces We Leave in Islamabad, Pakistan, to his gallery show Once We Were Two in the UK. He is a curator of the poetic show A Foreign Policy, examining Muslim male identities and community. His work explores spirituality, Islam, identity, belonging, and nostalgia. His work can be found at zain.speaks on Instagram. I'd like to invite Brother Zain to please recite poetry for us. And please recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bi'ism. It begins with a ba. But this beginning is becoming B, and it became the dot, is profound by the nukta, the diamond or star. It is rounded, circled and circling, the universe in it, entrapped within it. In the dot we found, he summated. So alif. Standing as though we are waiting, anticipating, apparent but in hiding, strong yet silenced, not seen, So seen is seen and spoken, a sea of wonders to be rode on, to be traversed by the seas and skies, across the sands of time to arrive at our meeting. No, Meme. Meme is a mother. And at our end, she is birthing us to the meeting of multitudes of singular, that rips the veil from Alif and portals us from the dot of the bar to arrive at our start of the beginning and the end. Allah. Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Respected Sheikh, Sayyid, and to the family of Sayyid Assad, my brothers and sisters, respected poets and reciters, Salamun Alaikum. I don't think I can say much, and I know I've been given allocated a time, and it's difficult to have reflections on a man who meant so many things to so many people. So the first half of this I dedicate to Sayyid Asad. There's a poem, after the poem I'll recite now, which I wrote as I was coming to Canada and thinking about what does Sayyid Assad mean to us as a global Shia community as well. But firstly, a poem based on Hadith Qudsi, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, walk towards me and I will run towards you. It's called The Prodigal Son. Yabna Adam, I wish you could have seen how I sculpted you with such intricate beauty. I blew my soul into you, so a piece of me in you resides, made of earth, dirt, but always you are made of the divine, and I have waited for you. For the day that you at my door will arrive, and I have paved the way for you, and across your trivialed heart I kept my love alive, and when you turned your back on me, I stayed waiting that one day you would turn back to me, like the seasons that circle the earth in orbit, and saplings in tandem rise. I made this all for you. Nestled you into my secret, yet you searched every door. But when will you at your own soul's door arrive, O son of Adam? How did you fall from my grace into your own? I called you to my banquet, and yet from my invitation you thought you rose above, and if you were to walk to me, I would to you from my throne run. I would see and call and exclaim to my angel, see how he returns to his true home, the prodigal son. For how long will you find solace in the mercy of others but me? How long will it stay like this? Because my beloved, I will wait for you for eternity, and I had fashioned within you the universe, and even the angels have craved your destiny. Return now with those teary eyes and that restless heart uneased. This union was always meant to happen, but this time, Yabna Adam, you run to me, and when you run this way, know you will find only one set of footprints upon the earth you ran, for the Lord himself is with you, and upon my love you began. Return to me, knowing you had my breath encased within your clay. Return to me well-pleasing, for with every breath you pray upon the anticipated arrive. At the time I will exclaim to the skies, see how he returns back to us, to his home. The prodigal son arrives. Many people, and when we done the workshop here, we likened, the character of Sayyid Assad to an oak tree, or I was seeing Sayyid Assad as this oak tree, this metaphor. And the conversations I've had with his close friends, his family, it reminds me that there's this conversation about anonymity. But the people that are so anonymous are so apparent to us at the same time. So this is a short poem. It's like a story to be told. And it's dedicated to Sayyid Assad. The saying goes, it takes a village to raise one child. Is it the same for a forest? Does it take one forest to raise a mighty oak? Only some will stand forth, reared by their village to lead, to raise other saplings and to carry their weights upon their backs. But there is always that one tree that is planted, that will bear the burden of a forest, that goes beyond the recompense of nurture. I heard a story of a sapling that was nurtured. Whilst others shied, he stood fortified, his branches embracing those that sought to confide in his own shade. His words were leaves. His words were leaves with seeds that inspired, that told of histories, of our roots and of the sun that rose, that maybe sometimes this oak tree would be silent and stare to the skies. Maybe that's how he spoke back to the divine. And sometimes the gust of the winds took in part those messengers of hope and inspired others to reach to their bloom. One day, the oak was taken too soon for the forest to see. So they gathered, saw a vast gaping hole left. No one knew where to find and how the business of the forest should continue. But such are trees in their might, and their oaks, and the roots that are rooted, so when they uproot and leave, you realize, with time, they left behind so many seeds to nurture beyond the oak that God had himself planted, to inspire others to be reminded that they too one day can be mighty like the oak. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the way this set is divided is that we will do some now. We've started off with the spirituality brief, and we'll go on to the Ahlul Bayt and some poems there. So inshallah, with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And they say, what sort of prophet is he that eats and goes about in the market? Quran verse 7, chapter 25, alive, walking, come see him for yourself. They say a man like us now brings us revelation. Divinations walking through the land, see you, was it not the blessing of his birth that saved you from the plague? See how elephants tumble at the pebbles that birds bring, that angels gathered for his birth and in chorus his praise sing. And as the birds that unmixed in front of Ibrahim formed back together, be certain that he will bring justice with him like no other. And as the birds soar above elephants that destroy stones against arrows that angels deploy, his movement will alter angels who descend, serving his household, equalizing black against Arab, slaves to saints. Can you hear? That is not the voice of Bilal with a lisp. As to prayer he beckons, as children in the lap of mothers listen. Here is the sound of God's own revolution. It is a song of utmost devotion. So when they whip Bilal, ask him, how does he withstand such wounds? That is words he uttered today, our mothers utter to their wombs. What words does he recite? And had you said to Bilal, instead of lashings of a slave, you are to walk upon glass, I swear like the dervish that spins, he would have danced barefoot upon glass and sung the praise of Muhammad. See how he sings like the nightingale of revelation. See how he sings like a nightingale effortlessly as he soars like the bird dropping rocks on their tyranny. The slave masters that look down upon him, how will they look down upon the tongue that God himself finds beloved? For I swear by it, Bilal's melody is certainty. His eyes have glanced upon the face intoxicated with the love of Muhammad. So when they ask you next time, where shall we find Muhammad? Tell them you will find him with the people. He will be sitting with them, eating with them. Tell them he will be mending his own sandals, stitching his own clothes, praying with former slaves. And if your leaders do not sit with you, then that is your own misfortune. And they will mock and laugh misfortune. And when they say, what sort of prophet is he that eats and goes about in the market? Quran verse 7 chapter 25, you say to them, he is mine. Can you guess who the next set of poems are about? After Rasulullah, after Allah, after Rasulullah. Ya Ali. The light of our gatherings, most definitely. It's really difficult writing a piece about Amir al-Mu'mineen, writing a piece about Imam Ali, even though there's so many poems out of there. And I know there are many poets here. But for me, it becomes very difficult. Because how do you begin to write the praise of him? When God himself named him Ali. And when he gave in ruku, they called him Sakhi, the generous. And when his hand was raised by the Nabi, they called him my Mawla and the true Wasi, Abu Turab, the father of earth. In your land in Najaf, you made gems from dirt and you turned hopeless sinners into your lovers. You, Ali, are the father of alchemy. And they do not want me to say that he is the splitter of heaven and hell, but what do you call those that preside over heaven itself? Who is honored with the birth of this child? Who is honored with the birth of this child? Was it the Kaaba or the truth that its defender was born in it, who later became the Lord's wali? Allow me to say, Shaykhana, then for that night, Baytullah became Baytul Ali. And they will tell me not to say such, as though they can deny the cracks of the past in the present, as though the Prophet did not anticipate his birth as Naba al-Azim, the great news. But what can I say when he is the teacher of Jibra'il, the preacher of the pulpit of Saluni, Saluni, ask me before you lose me, the hand of God, the voice that spoke. When on ascension our beloved returned only to find he was in deep sleep, the Aaron to my Moses, my hope to my sorrows, the door that fortified the city of Muhammad and his wisdom, the promised sign of God that was revealed, and his sons that defended like their father the legacy of light, and whose eyes became endowed with divine sight. And when he led in battle, he became Imam al-Muttaqeen. And when his hand was raised in the Ghadir, they shouted, Bakhin, Bakhin, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. And I will say his love is the distinction between Muslim and Munafiqeen, and he is the right, my blood, and the guide, and he is with God, the truth, and has never left my side. And these are not the words of a poet that I read, but the words of Muhammad that I recite. So when in my grave I will turn to no other, I will give praise and honor to my mother who birthed me with the name of my master and my Mawla. I will turn to Ali. Ask him to intercede by the sake of the Kaaba, and by his light and by his grace I will call his name, so that from my grave the light of the Most High will touch the skies, where his name is a bell that rings at the doors of paradise, the elixir of love, the love of my love. And why are they shocked when I sing his praise, when the Lord himself gave his own title as my Mawla's name? After Al-Murtada, the Lord's cherished one, was also his praise. So I end where I start, a circle that circumambulates, much like those who circle his birthplace. I am Ali al-A'la, so Muhammad, today you name your defenders from amongst my prestigious names. O Ahmad, my beloved, tell them it is my sign, alone it is he. Tell them his name is from my own, for I sent him from me. Tell them, O Muhammad, truly he is Ali. Asad. Ya Ali. Next poem is dedicated to the poets of the household. I want to give a big shout out to all of them. And also my deepest and sincerest thanks to Brother Naqi as well for his kind hospitality. Hopefully we stick to the time you allocated me. If not, then I think your audition for Mukki is going well anyway. This is called Maytham, and I think every poet should be inspired by Maytham. The tongue of Maytham. I sometimes wonder about this tongue. They call it a sack of fat or a muscle, a sword unyielded. But I wonder about this tongue. Does it have the ability to be like Maytham? That had I been where he stood and had I been shown the tree where I would have been hung, would I have cut it? And unlike Maytham, who to his tree his poems sung, what poem would I have penned to the palm? O tree, Maytham would sing, I am for you as you are for me. And as lovers await their union, Maytham awaited tragedy, and his tongue would sing and his hands would water, and the tree would have life and his life would hang from her. Branches will spiral from her. And Maytham's body would dangle from the tree, and his soul is at his lips, but is it truly his property? For he has drank from the chalice, and the cup is empty, so he is full with the love of. So he repeats the tasbih, the rosary of mystics, the love song of lovers, crucified or intoxicated, sacrificed or obliterated, the moth to the flame or the flame to the moth, I know not, Ain. A part of him in this realm remains as his tongue exclaims the devotion of lovers, the symphony of birds. Maytham, like the bulbul of Ali, sings. He repeats that name as its medicine for his soul. So they cut off his tongue and his blood now pours, as back then Maytham would water the tree. Now his blood pours to its roots, and it gleams, it glistens, and it glides. His blood becomes tides, crashing against their eyes and their lies. As the blood pours, each drop now forms the lover's name, Lam. So they cut once more from the tongue as he hangs from the tree. But with him blooms the forest of Ishq, and in divine ecstasy grows the nation of lovers. Ya, so I say, cut the hands of the poets if you must, and rip our tongues like before us Maytham, for from our blood our mothers who taught us to write with the quill of their palms will take our blood and recite. For if the garden of lovers bloomed, it was Maytham's blood that watered us saplings into poets, that nurtured us into Ali's forest. He, with his tongue, spoke what his blood now forms, his heart symbiotic to the tongue. I know not the difference of the meme of Maytham and the love of Ain, Lam, Ya. Is this not the highest form of love that lovers would know? The letters he wrote with blood. Peace be upon the date seller whose tongue would never sell for the love of Ali. Peace be upon the tongue that cut, the love that spoke, the blood that poured. Peace be upon you, O Maytham. But what are words of yours from a poet like me, like a sinner like me, when to you, O Maytham, sends peace, your master, Ali. Okay. Have we got time? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. I have to get worried if Naqi's done a nara. Does that mean like it's time now? You have to go, like pack your bags. Okay, I wanted to read this poem Najaf Nostos, but I don't know if we have time because I have two poems I really wanted to do, which were a dedication to mothers. And it's very apt for today as well. But Naqi Bhai had asked me to read this poem. This poem is a munajat to Imam Ali. I wrote this actually when I was in Pakistan, and I wasn't able to go to Najaf that year. So it was written almost like a munajat and an ariza to the Imam. So inshallah, we pray that we'll all have the opportunity to go for ziyarah. And I thought it was important to have a reference to the ziyarah because I got to meet Sayyid Assad in that time, during my ziyarah as well. It's called Najaf Nostos. What would I give to spend this night by your side? To see the skies under your stars and be every piece of broken that I am by your side. In this nebula, a scattered galaxy enwrapped innately, a mountain of knowledge encompassed into a grain of sand, you are a gateway to a sea of hope we denied too quickly. Ali, he whose worship causes him to quiver and the earth to quake, a godsend that God sends for his return. Here you are in unison, returning back in union, forehead kissing the ground, and the sudden sound of a strike caused a deafening blow that ricochets through the cosmos, a silence that no man can fill, no angel will dare to rise for, so the majestic throne it trembled. I am every piece of broken, as light reflected dances on a mosaic of shattered glass, and each shard poured your light. Your name angels and creatures chant. They say saints don't die, they live forever. And within these nights they said that he has embedded a secrecy, a treasure that only lovers will know. 19th struck, 21st departs, and what of the nights of power? The night is cloaked and the cheek of Layla is veiled, and Majnoon is caught walking the streets, knocking on the doors, distressed which home can he call his own, distressed which lover can he call his own. So they swirl in ecstasy, chanting your name, Ali. I knew your love before I knew myself. I knew your love before I knew myself, and your name I was taught before my own. Strange how these distances drew us closer, as though intimacy you intricately carved. Only strangers and the estranged would know. Today I asked if the sun must set, then give me time, for on this night I wish to be by your side. E Shahe Najaf Madadi. Do the winds of this moment whistle in Najaf? Maybe these words to you I will send on their back, wrapped through the tears as comfort for your heart. Take from the sea, quench from his abundance. If only they knew what he was. He still stands there crying. If only I knew what you were. Final two poems, if that's okay. Muhammad I wasn't planning on doing this poem, but last night we had a gathering, and all the poets of the household group, well, some of them were there, and I read this piece, and it really resonated with them, and I was speaking to them which poems should I finish with. So the last two poems I'd like to dedicate once again to the family of Marhum Sayyid Assad. And they're about mothers, two very special mothers. The mother of Abu Fadl al-Abbas and the mother of Imam al-Hussein, these two brothers, but the first one is called the Mother of the Moon. And we pray in this time, it's very difficult for the family, and no doubt for the mother, that through the wasila of these two very sacred women, both who are Bab al-Hawa'ij, that you find peace in this time, and that the community, not just here in Toronto, but globally, is with your family, Sayyid. So the first poem, the last of the two poems, the first poem is called, and this is one of my favorite titles, The Mother of the Moon, dedicated to al-Baneen. From the lineage of warriors a queen is born, that will later dictate how valiant saints will stand to rise in subservience. Her crown is her spiritual splendor that sits at the helms of her head, where her mind encapsulates the sorrows of the man of God who men could not understand. For here she is, the poetess who poetry flows like her love for those she takes under her wing. How vast is her heart that contains the tears of orphans, the broken back of a man hunched into the earth as he weeps, into the night that she witnesses his heartbreak. The queen of warriors is reconciled by the side of this broken man, so she sets foot into his home, renounces her name. She will be hence known no longer as Fatima. Her throne rests by the feet of the princes of paradise. And when the crowning of her coronation became the wife of the life of prophethood, Amir al-Mu'mineen, she bows her head to the task ahead, knowing from her the lineage of light will be defended, births the valiancy and the ferocity of the Lion of God. The poetry she spoke embodied into her flesh. Rise, O sons of al-Baneen, for your mother has taught you to stand and wait and serve and be silent when they speak. Abbas, your eyes should never lock eyes with theirs, for they are kings and we are but their servants. Be shy like the moon in the presence of the sun, and in their darkness you defend like the moon in radiance. She is the mother of sons, the sun to her sons, but she shied away her own brightness to take and nurture the love of them towards their destiny. For Fatima is the night of power, but al-Baneen propels her sons towards their own. Draw the ferocity of 4 sons. The valiance of Abbas cannot be through history contained, for whenever he is mentioned, destiny and the angels dictate. It is her blood in their veins, her nurture that made Abbas to Hussein the noblest of slaves. And if valiancy is the bloodline of Ali, Abbas is the lion that roars ferociously. It is the softness of his heart that crumbles at the sight of angst and pain of his sisters and the gentle daughters of Hussein. This servitude is ingrained by the mother who sacrifices upon marriage her own name. So to serve is to nurture broken hearts of the quivering childs of Ali, as she sits by the pains of motherhood, departed sons in parted lands of parted arms on parted sands. And here a mother sits, awaiting news of their servitude. Who fell first before Hussein? Upon these burning lands where this mother draws a line between her and the space that remains an empty home in Medina. Maybe she recounts the poetry that she would speak to them as they were children, but now she speaks emptily to the walls of this home. She asks, do not call me the mother of sons who no longer remain. So al-Khuddam, the mother of servants, I would say, but history would say, no, say she is the mother of the brother of Hussein, the beloved of hers, but she would say, remove that title from my name. My sons are only those that are the servants of Hussein. Where am I and where is the queen that over heaven itself presides? Only in their light that I bask is where I find my pride. So I sit, I, al-Baneen in Baqi, and ask, did my sons fall before Hussein? Did al-Baneen sacrifice everything and beyond that for her son Hussein? So with what words, I ask, do you call the woman who birthed the moon, the one that shone through darkness of the night, that patrols the tents of the utmost purity? I see the stars descend upon Baqi as though they have collected dust from Karbala, returning back to the skies with her tears to bless the night where the moon no longer resides. So she just stares at the earth, head bowed, her hands to the sand. 4 lines she draws, as destiny drew from her womb 4 lions that she birthed. I can hear her reciting, O land, Do you not know I was the mother of the moon? I was the mother of the moon. So, okay, final poem on Sayyid, this is on Sayyid Fatima as we're entering the Wiladat, and that will be all from today. Queen of Hearts. Okay. Do we have enough time? I could keep going, but okay. This is called because we are now entering into. I think Queen of Hearts is more about the Shahad, Istishhad, the Fatimiyya. But this one contains parts of that. So it's a final poem. Sorry, Sheikh. I know I'm holding you up. It's okay. 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 For the success of the poets of the household and for everyone that's come in this attendance to upholding the legacy and the life and the values that Assad by promoted in his life, please recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This is called The Names of Fatima. I've been told I read my poems quite fast and there's loads of themes. It's been recorded. If you want the copies of these poems, I share them with you. And it's been a real honor to be invited once again. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity. Assad. So the names of Fatima. To knock on the door of grace is the etiquette of angels that have been taught to embrace. Here stands the angel of death himself, seeking permission before permitting himself to the soul of the seal of prophethood. And I see Jibreel, head bowed, awaiting permission to enter. But I ask, did you seek permission, O Gabriel, when revelation descended on the heart of Muhammad? Before this house sits the heart of Muhammad, the protector and the enigma of divine grace. The Zahir apparent was the fleshed heart of Muhammad. The Batin esoteric soul lies within the daughter he will later go on to call his mother. For she is Laylatul Qadr. With a movement of her hands, the fate of man can change. She commands with her voice the ground that quakes in tandem with her. And what is the Knights of Power? That her sons refer to her as such. So the divine spreads his name across the skies and the earth, so we could try and comprehend the godsend, the union and our arrival. But what of her names? What of the names of Fatima? I find the ground whispers, she is Abida, the devout and devoted. Al-Qanita, subdued in the divine names as though breath speed, the tasbih of love. Al-Adila, who when she judges is fair and right. Al-Alima, the absolute complete mind. Al-Aliya, she is Ali, in the feminine form, the defender of Ali's might. Al-Amila, who in God's path strives. Afdalun Nisa, no woman dares to supersede her side. No mother dares to supersede her side. No wife will dare to supersede her side. For when she retreats to her mihrab, she is Al-Arifa, the possessor of secrets divine. Az-Zahra, the chaste and protected. Al-Aziza, the utmost respected. Al-Basita, who maximizes prosperity, and in adversity and calamity she is As-Sabira, the patient. For in her lies the divine secret, and nestled in intrinsic awe she is Batina, Al-Batul, the purest of them all. Bid'at al-Rasul, the sapling that blossomed a forest of prophethood from one single womb. Dania, the woman of true liberty. Durr an-Nur, for with her footsteps scatter the gems of light, that even angels from the skies fall to gather. And when she spoke in the court of the tyrant, she became the queen that sits on the mountain of eloquence and recites. She is Al-Fasiha, Al-Fatiha, she is the opening, the flowering of guidance. Al-Kamila, the completion, for within her begins the imamate, and with her blood it will seal. She is Habiba, the beloved of the beloved, the lover and the loved one. Hajiyya, the pilgrim that the Kaaba itself awaits. And her soul is the custodian. And her soul is the custodian of divine wisdom, Hakima, Halima, for have you ever seen a queen so gentle that her heart cannot tolerate the cries of a captive, of the orphan, of the destitute, so she gives while she fasts, the noble, Sa'ima, as-sahibatul atiyya, the giver of goodness, Hadira, she who is present at the call of God, and when she tried to call out to them, they turned their backs upon her. But they tried to sanction her mourning. They did not understand. She is God's hurriya. No man can sanction her freedom. Hujjata, the mother of the proofs of mankind, and is the proof upon them. And as the Sadiq would say, and where on the Hijaz plains daughters were buried alive, she in the prophetic glance was raised. Tell me of a daughter who was called by her father Abiha. Hania Kitab, the mother of book. Hawr al-Insiya, the angels metamorphosized. Al-Jalila, Al-Jamila, the woman of stature sublime. Al-Kalimatul Baqiyya, whose words to the end of day we recite. For in truth, she is crowned Al-Karima, the glorious. She is a sign that proved those that doubted Muhammad Al-Kawthar, that flows in gratitude, and a river that will never dry, for she is Al-Mardiyya, who God is content with, Al-Radiyya, who is content with God's will. For even Maryam knows that Fatima is Maryam Al-Kubra, she is Al-Mubarakah. The blessings of her womb, blessed salvation, immaculate conception, she is of noble birth, Al-Najiba, Al-Musaliha, for from her revolutions are birthed Al-Mutahhira, Al-Tahira, the thoroughly purified and the purifier, and Ali's counsel to his broken heart, and Nasiha. She will stand witness to those days. Nadhiratul Bashar, the watchful eye upon mankind, and Najiyya, a savior that saves even though she is wounded, even though she cries, Fidda, my child. She is An-Najiyya, the protector, the savior, An-Nuriya. With one speck of her own light, she obliterates the darkness. An-Naqiyya, At-Taqiyya, As-Sadiqa, the source of every imam after her. As-Salihah, the witness. Al-Salima, in perfect submission, for upon the seal of prophethood she is a shahida, because from her blossoms the forest of purity and light, a shajara tayyiba, and in her power revealed she is al-dhahira. For enwrapped in all of this she is Al-Zahra, and only some can scarcely unearth the power of Laylatul Qadr. So when you ask, who is this woman? God said, I will call her Fatima.
Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. I know me and Naki have been taking at least one or two lines from every poet's poem. There are no words, brothers, and Jazakallah for number one, taking out your precious time all the way from the UK to bless us with your presence, and also with your poetry that I know everyone took some type of wisdom from. We thoroughly gained from it, and we thoroughly enjoyed it as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen your pen, inshallah, and may He also allow you to continue on this path of being a khadim and a poet of the Ahlul Bayt. Bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat. To end off this segment, I would like to welcome Sheikh Abu Sumayya to bless us with words of wisdom. I know he has something special prepared for us as well, that I personally requested him as well, inshallah. If we can invite him up to the podium with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من اللعين الغوي الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين والحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد. The theme of this was mercy. So I didn't prepare a lecture. This is not a lecture. This is just a poem, some thoughts, and a hadith. That's it. Very simple. I was going through the Masnawi of Rumi, and I came across this beautiful poem entitled Join Us in Our Circle. Rumi says, come and join us in our circle, we the lovers, we who admire, so that we can lure you into the lovely garden of desire. You are water, whirling water, yet still water trapped within. Come submerge yourself within us, we who are the flowing stream. Come, we are all so lost and strayed, and in the direst poverty, and we know of nothing to sing except the song of unknowing. And then I thought to myself, subhanallah, what greater moment of unknowing is there than the day that we meet Allah? The day that we meet God, unsure where we will end up. This song of unknowing, this song of mystery, this song of uncertainty. It's perpetual. And when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that song comes to its complete fruition, really. But our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has narrated to us a very, very, very powerful hadith al-Qudsi that Saduq narrates in Kitab al-Tawheed about the Day of Judgment. This is a message of hope, of mercy, of love. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم والذي بعثني بالحق بشيرا. He says that I swear by Allah who sent me as a bashir. I swear by my humanity. لا يعذب الله بالنار موحدا أبدا وأن أهل التوحيد يشفعون ويشفعون. That Allah will never punish the muwahhid, the one who says La ilaha illallah, ever. وَأَنَّ أَهْلُ التَّوْحِيدِ, and the people of Tawheed, of oneness. This is what Rumi is referring to as the song of unknowing. Join us in the circle of love. This is what Rumi is referring to here in the Masnawi. They both can give, they request intercession and receive intercession. Then he says that the day of judgment will come, Yawm al-Qiyamah, and God will order all the people who have bad deeds, Sa'at a'maluhum, in this world, he will order them into the fire of hell. He'll say, hell is here, it's ready, go, you're going in, it's done. وَيَقُولُونَ يَا رَبَّنَا كَيْفَ تُدْخِلُنَا نَارْ وَقَدْ كُنَّا نُوَحِّدُكَ. Oh our Lord, how can you put us in hell when in this world we said, La ilaha illallah? How can you burn this tongue? كيف تحرك بالنار ألسنتنا وقد نطقت بتوحيدك في دار الدنيا. How can you burn this tongue when we uttered your tawheed with truth? As Amir al-Mu'mineen says, أَتُسَلِّطُ النَّارِ على ألسن التي نطقت ونطقت بتوحيدك صادقة. Amir al-Mu'mineen was foreshadowing that day of the Day of Judgment in his single sajda when he said, Oh Allah, how could you set on fire the tongue that testifies to your oneness? In that single sajda, his vision was already in the meeting of God. So the sajda of Amir al-Mu'mineen is a tunnel or a dimension into the meeting with God. This is what the Hadith al-Qudsi is. There's a direct connection between this Hadith al-Qudsi, the conversation between the sinner and Allah, and the dua that Amir al-Mu'mineen recited in the state of sajda on the 15th of Sha'aban, known as Dua Kumail ibn Ziyad. And how can you set on fire our hearts that believed that there was no God but you? وَقُلُوبٍ. Right, as Amir al-Mu'mineen says, and would you also set on fire the hearts, right? اعترفت بإلهيتك محققة. And then they turn to Allah again, they say, and how could you set on fire the faces that have touched your turab and your dirt? How could you set on fire the hands that have lifted them up to you in dua to you? يقول الله عز وجل جل جلاله عبادي ساءت أعمالكم في دار الدنيا. Oh my servants, but your deeds don't make the cut. What are we going to do? Your deeds don't make the cut. You're not up to snuff. You haven't made it. Not enough. فَجَزَاءَكُمْ نَارَ جَهَنَّمْ. Your reward or your end is hell. يقولون يا ربنا عفوك أعظم أم خطيئتنا. But oh our Lord, now they ask God a question. They say, oh our Lord, what is greater, your pardon or our mistakes or misdeeds? Allah says, of course my pardon is greater. وَيُقُولُونَ رَحْمَتُكَ أَوْسَعَ عَنْ ذُنُوبِنَا. Is your mercy not vaster than our sins? يَقُولُ عَزَّ وَجَلْ بَالرَّحْمَةِ. My mercy is vaster. Of course, going back to Imam Ali where it says, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kull shay. Right? Wherever there's Amir al-Mu'mineen, his eyes and his heart and his soul takes us to Yawm al-Qiyamah. ويقول عز وجل بالرحمة يقولون إقرارنا بتوحيدك أعظم عن ذنوبنا. That our testification and belief in La ilaha illallah is not greater than our sins. He said, إقراركم بتوحيدي أعظم. Your belief, your firm belief, your certainty in my oneness is greater. ويقولون يا ربنا فلا يسعنا عفوك ورحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء. So then God, now envelope us in the very mercy and pardon that you said encompasses everything. And then Allah turns to the angels and He says, وَعِزَّتِي وَجَلَالِي مَا خَلَقْتُ خَلْقًا أَحَبُّ إِلَيّْ مِنَ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ بِتَوْحِيدِي. I have not created any creation more beloved to me than those who come close to me with my tawheed, with kalima la ilaha illallah. An la ilaha illa ghayri wa haqqun alay. And thus it is incumbent upon me now to not roast them in the fire because of my tawheed. Udkhilu ibadi al-jannah. And then Allah takes all of them and says, enter them now into paradise. This is the mercy of God. This is the mercy of Allah. I always mention to people, sometimes we get down and we think that we're never enough. But carrying the kalima of La ilaha illallah in your heart, in the most difficult moments of your life, if you just turn to Him, He will open every door of mercy for you. Every door of mercy. There will be no worry. He will guide you through the darkest of nights. And because of that, I composed something. Revelation. It's not really a poem. It's more a short essay, we will say, a 4 or 6 sentence essay. I'm not a poet. Revelation is the break-in of the living God, Al-Hayyul Qayyum, into our otherwise dark world. The light of revelation guides us to the pure, illuminated shores of salvation. It gives us a sense of permanence and the infinite while we are drowning in the abyss of impermanence. Revelation rescues us from the poverty of our scientific arrogance, bringing upon us the dawn of the soul's seeming limitless horizon. This horizon encompasses all the beauty of a Serengeti sunset, instilling within us the limitless possibilities of metaphysical certainties. The love letter of the Lord to Muhammad shatters any false conception of knowledge. The revelation of love and infinite mercy of spiritual cognition shall be our armor against the sheer barbarism unleashed by pseudo-intellectualism upon man. We shall be beacons of healing, hope, love, and trust. We are the people of La ilaha illallah. We shall live a full life. قال الله تعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تتقوا الله يجعل لكم فرقانا ويكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويغفر لكم والله ذو فضل العظيم. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, Surah Al-Anfal, O you who believe, if you have the consciousness and awareness of God, He shall give you a criterion. He shall give you a way forward. He shall give you this absolute, beacon of truth, the Furqan. And because of that, yukaffir ankum sayyatikum. And He will reduce, minimize your bad deeds. And He will forgive you. And He is the one that possesses all virtue and sublimity and greatness. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Jazakallah Shaykh. Wow, I don't think we could have ended the night in a more beautiful fashion. Very inspiring words and very inspiring poetry. I'd like to close by again thanking everyone for taking the time out, especially on December 31st, New Year's, to join us in this program and remembering the memory of Sayyid Asad Jafri. I want to thank all the collaborators who helped make this event happen, especially the donors that also make this event happen. Can we please recite a Fatiha for the marhumin of all the donors and especially Sayyid Asad Jafri, please. And because of the generosity of the donors, we were able to collect funds for the bursary fund that by Nasimco in honor of Sayyid Asad Jafri as well. Also wanted to make a last announcement on behalf of Poets of the Household. Inshallah, we do plan on having more poetry events, poetry workshops, regular writing sessions, and we are trying to develop a community of poets who write poetry in honor of the Holy Household in the English language here in Toronto. If you are interested, please do follow our poetry page, Poets of the Household on Instagram, to keep up to date with further announcements and events that may happen. And lastly, I do want to let everyone know that there will be niyaz, inshallah. So please make sure you don't leave before you get the tabarruk. Can I recite aloud? Can you all please recite aloud? Salawat Allah Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let's stand for ziyarat, please.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من العين القوي الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين السلام عليكما سبطي رسول الله الحسن والحسين سيد شباب أهل الجنة السلام عليك يا علي زين العابدين ومحمد الباقر وجعفر الصادق وموسى الكاظم وعلي الرضا ومحمد الجواد وعلي الهادي والحسن العسكري ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن وكعبة الإيمان وإمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه ورضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا رب صل على محمد وآله